Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Porch Asses. We are two brothers with four bad knees. I am Morgan.
I'm Jeremy.
It is Memorial Day weekend, and we are doing the post-mortem of the Pittsburgh Penguins. They lose in 6 games to the New York Islanders.
Again.
Again. Not in the bubble this year. A lot of questions being raised. A lot of issues. Some successes that I'm sure we'll talk about. But this episode, we're going to be focusing on what happened, what can change, what's the future of the team, where do we see the Pens next season. First off, we want to start off. I had the Pens in 6, not the other way around. um, I don't know what I forget what you had.
I think I had the Pens in 5, actually.
Ooh, that's even bad. That's even worse than me. Obviously, I think the big thing we have to talk about here is what went wrong. And I think we know where we're going with this.
The piece of Swiss cheese between the 4x6 net.
Tristan Jarry. I'm sorry, bud. I had hopes for you. I didn't realize how much we'd miss Casey DeSmith with that injury he took late in the season.
Yeah.
But, dude, come on. This team, I'm going to make many references to this. This team reminds me of 2012 all over again. Stacked team from top to bottom. Defensive core playing great. Mediocre goaltending in the playoffs. 2012, they get swept by the Flyers in the first round. Marc-Andre Fleury posts an .834 save percentage in that series. The Pens lose. This time, Tristan Jarry comes in. Pens are stacked. To me, I think it's the best depth they've had in a long time. From top to bottom, the defensive core was playing great. Tristan Jarry posted, I think, an .888 save percentage in this series, and they lose in 6 games.
Yeah, it was just. It's bad. It was bad.
It was bad. I keep going back to Friday. I had SportsCenter on at work on the TV. 3 of the not top 10 were Pittsburgh sports.
The Jarry turnover, Will Craig, and what was the other one?
The Bluger own goal.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it was not good. No, very, very rough week in Pittsburgh sports.
Yeah.
A rough 2 weeks in Pittsburgh sports. Before we go back to Jarry, I want to talk about some of the good stuff. Jeff Carter.
Godsend.
I was worried about the trade. I thought he was washed up. I thought he was done in LA.
Yeah.
Boy, are we wrong.
It's like a career renaissance almost
it
for
was kind of a renaissance. Obviously, he's won Stanley Cups before in LA. I thought he was going to be that third line center. He was playing a lot of the time on the second line because Evgeny Malkin was out. It's great. You know, I mean, who was it? Him, Freddie Gaudreau, and was it McCann?
Yeah.
On that line? That line was great. I love that line. 9 goals in 16 games to the Penguins in the regular season, and then 3 in I think the postseason.
Yeah, because he had 2 that one night, and then that was 3.
I mean, El Jefe, Spanish for the Jeff.
I was like you. I was like, oh my god, we're getting a washed up Jeff Carter. Sweet Jesus. And then I don't know if it was moving from West Coast to East Coast or the water or something.
You got shades of Jeff Carter in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a whole play with Ron Hextall thing. You know what I mean?
Maybe it is.
On Ronnie Hextall. You know what I mean? Another good thing I liked was Kasperi Kapanen.
Another trade that we were not happy with.
Another trade we were not happy with, but it ended up in the long run. Great move by the Penguins. I was watching his postseason interview with the media after the Game 6 loss to the Islanders. The dude has a home here now. The dude's, I think, in for the long run. I think you get a healthy Evgeny Malkin next season. And I want to talk about this a little later on because there's a lot going to happen this offseason that's going to be very big. But I think Kapanen's here for the long run. The dude was phenomenal. He was out for a while with that injury, came back and didn't miss a beat.
Yeah, he just looked like that was the Kapanen that we saw when he was. It was there were shades of it in Toronto. He started to pick it up late in the year in Toronto, and we're like, okay, but then they made the trade, and it was just like, why?
And people were putting a lot on Sidney Crosby. I think he has like 4 points, I think, in his last 16 playoff games. I think that first line was excellent. There was times that they absolutely dominated the Islanders. Yes, they didn't score. Jake Gensel kind of went missing a little bit. I think he had 1 goal in 6 games in the playoffs. But there's talk of people. I forget who it is in the Pittsburgh. You're like trade Jake Gensel. No, that's the stupidest thing you're gonna do.
The one guy I was really happy with, other than as you said, Jeff Carter, Kasperi Kapanen, Brian Rust.
I was very.
Rust shows up in the playoffs.
He always has. He did that. In 16, he did it in 17. He did it for San Jose. He did it for Nashville. He did it in that Cap series a couple years ago.
He was big in that Cap series.
He's huge. I think I want to talk about this a little later because we're a little protection talk here coming a little later in the podcast.
This is what we call a tease, kids.
Yep. But one guy who to me has become an absolute cult legend in the city of Pittsburgh now is Brandon Tanev.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people. Former general manager Jim Rutherford, 6 years?
That was a 6-year deal.
6-year deal with Brandon Tanev, and we're like, oh shit, here we go again. Dude was lights out all last season. All season, Tanev was great. He was that spark on that fourth line. He was that physicality. People are like, oh, the Pens should go out and get someone big because they need that muscle. You don't need that. You have Brandon Tanev.
He's your quote unquote muscle.
Yeah, you don't need that Brian Reeves.
No, you don't need that.
Tom Wilson. You have Brandon Tanev.
And that shit, to be honest with you, is completely overrated.
God, don't let the old man hockey let you hear say that.
But piss on Eddie Shore.
Piss on old time hockey. I'm listening to the fucking song. But a lot, there's a lot to digest in the 6-game series. I think the big thing is, other than the goaltending, is I think there's crucial moments the Pens dominated the whole entire game. It was just the little things that fucking killed them. And you saw it actually last night in the first 2 periods of Boston and the Islanders. Boston dominated the first 2 periods, and then they finally cracked Sorokin, but it's like the Islanders' physicality kind of in those small little moments killed the Penguins.
Yeah.
And the turnovers by Jari in Game 5 in overtime. The bad rebound he was giving up. Again, this goes back to Tristan Jari. I think the biggest glaring issue of the 6 games versus the Islanders was the goaltending. Yes, they missed Casey DeSmith. I think, was it Maxime Lagos? Should he got that spot? I think they should have started on Game 6.
That was my question, was at what point would have you went to Maxine to get at least some type of spark or something?
I still think they should have started in Game 6. After the turnover, Game 5, you just saw it in Jari's eyes. He was done.
Yeah.
As soon as that goal went in overtime, or double overtime, in Game 5, I'm like, yep, they're done. They're screwed. Of course, the Penguins do the Penguins do. They jump out to a lead on the island. And all of a sudden, boom, 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 it's 5-2 and game's over and handshakes.
Yeah.
Even if at 2-2 in Game 6, I would have replaced Jari.
I would have too.
The team needed a spark, and I don't think Sullivan did that. And there's a lot of talk of Mike Sullivan. Elliot Friedman from TSN reported last night that he's coming back. I think it's the right move. I think it's a short leash next season.
Oh, it has to be.
But I think it's the right move bringing back Mike Sullivan.
I think it is the right move to bring back Sullivan. And this goes back to Ron Hextall and everything like that. I'm wondering if the moves of Sullivan's assistant coaches can change with the new regime as well.
I don't think it's the assistant coaches. I don't think Reardon's gone. I mean, I think Mike Buckley has to be fired. Has to be the goaltending coach. I think there's too many questions the past few seasons about the process and the goaltending on the Penguins. You kind of see that now more than ever.
And that's been a glaring issue for the team for years. Even with Marc-Andre Fleury, there were still instances of...
If you besmirch Thomas O'Kuhn right now, I'm punching you
I'm
in
not...
the face. No.
I wasn't thinking of Thomas O'Kuhn. I was thinking of who was the one that started the Winter Classic.
Ty Conklin?
Yeah, Ty Conklin.
Wow. You know my issues with Marc-Andre Fleury.
The 834 save percentage.
I will never forgive that man for 2012. That team was absolutely stacked from top to bottom. The Pens, with mediocre goaltending that year, would have won the Stanley Cup. And I know this first round, it was only the Flyers, and they had so many teams go. The way that year in hockey was, if they had mediocre goaltending, they win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
There's no question with that roster. And I think it's this year, too. Not putting my chickens before the eggs before they hatch, but with mediocre goaltending, the team had enough offensive ability and defensive ability to make a deep run.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that it happening, but it, like you said, it all falls back to the mediocres being nice. That goaltending was god awful.
Yeah,
like it was just so bad.
Give me a second here. What do the Pens do next season in goal?
Casey DeSmith has to be your number one. Has to be. If Jari gets a shot, fine, but Casey's number one. And I think, why not give Maxime Legacy a shot? Like, why? That guy put out numbers in the AHL.
I have a hot take. I think they should go out and sign a veteran.
To back up to Smith or to start over?
To start over to Smith and Jari.
Who the hell's a free agent goaltender?
Just obviously they're not going to sign Tuukka. Tuukka's too expensive.
Oh Jesus, God no. I don't want to see that stupid face every night.
I don't know where it's going to fit in. The cap space, but Freddie Anderson's going to be a free agent.
Ooh.
And Philip Grubauer out of Colorado is going to be a free agent.
I've always been I've liked Grubauer.
I think they have to go out and get I think they have to go out and get a veteran. I think that's the number one move the Penguins have to do is go out and get a veteran goalie with some sustainability between the pipes.
Yeah.
I think you need a healthy Casey DeSmith, and I think you send Jari to, fucking Wheeling. I don't fucking care.
Could you get anything for him if you would decide to trade him?
No. You're going to get like a 6th round draft pick for him. But I don't think they do.
No. Here was the other question, and we'll get off the goaltenders here for a minute. The other question that was brought up, and I don't know who brought this up, but he was getting trashed on Twitter, was, is this the last time you see Crosby, Malkin, and Letang in the same uniform?
No. No. Next question. Move on. We're not even talking about the core is going to be... Listen to me. The core is going to be back. There's no ands, ifs, or buts. And if you ever suggest that, and I know a lot of Pittsburgh media is because they're clickbaity, they're assholes who just want to start fights on social media. They're shit-ass heel, faked-out wrestling announcers from a failed company trying to make their waves and just get their fat, annoying heel audience to do the same thing.
Wow, I couldn't tell you who that was at all.
I'm talking about Mark Madden.
That fat ass?
Yep, I'm talking about Mark Madden.
I know the core will be back. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate.
No, there's no devil's advocating to do because the core is going to be back, no question. So that raises my issue is who... Obviously, we get Seattle Kraken next year. Who are you protecting? Who are you letting up? Who's going to be... Do you make trade with Seattle to protect somebody, kind of like they did... Do a team like Seattle take a veteran contract that they can't eat, like Tanev? Go ahead. I have my hot takes, and where I'm going first, I have 2 names out there. Go ahead.
We probably will agree on one of them. Zach Aston Reese is one I see that probably won't be able to be protected. The other one, I'm going to say Jared McCann. For some odd reason, a lot of the time he just gets lost in the shuffle. Like he'll pop out every once in a while, but like half the time there are people that forget that he's on the team.
So I'm going to go a little bit more in depth to this. I brought out the notes.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. So obviously you're going to protect 87, 58,
71.
71.
Yeah.
Okay. I think they protect Carter. I think they protect Kapanen and Gensel. So that's 6.
Yeah.
Who's that 8th guy or that 7th guy? Um, do I think it's Dumo? Maybe. But I have a hot take. I think it's Czar. I think Czar is the guy that Seattle picks. I see it. It's a good young contract, good young player. I also think, do they take a Tanev? As much as I don't want to say it, do they take a veteran contract for some physicality on that line, on that offense? Yes. But my guy, I think they take is I think they eat up Juuso Riiko's contract.
Yeah.
I think that's a very underrated pick. I think they take Riikola, a young defenseman who has some upside but hasn't shown it. I think he has blackmail on somebody that they didn't play him last season.
Yeah, he has got nudes of somebody.
I think Zucker's a chance too.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, the core's going to be there. Do they try to take Casey? Like, do they?
No, there's other goalies that they're going to be out there to be able to take. You're going to have a Seattle, Las Vegas situation like a guy like Marc-Andre Fleury out there,
Sure.
a veteran goalie who has a kind of shitty contract that's going to be
Yeah.
in Seattle next year. Um, see, I think I'm not. I hate going back to this. Going back to the goaltending, I think you have to sign a veteran for a year or two till Emil Larmy's ready in Wilkes-Barre.
Yeah.
I think that's the move. I think I think Czar. I heard Ross's name even put out there for the Seattle. I think they take Czar. It's the right contract. It's the right thing to do. If I'm the Kraken, if I'm Ronnie Francis, I'm taking a guy like Zach Aston Reese. I obviously we're not even questioning about the core being back because the core's being back. It's no questions. The question I have is how many more years do you have of 78? I guess 78, 87 dyslexic, 87, 71, 58. How many more years do you think you have in that prime to win the cup?
4.
I
Three
say
to 3 to 4.
I say 4. When's what? Sid's got what? 3 years left? 4 years
I
left?
think. I think he
I
is.
think when 87 71's contract's up is when you're done.
Yeah.
You have to get one more cup out of these guys.
You have
in
to.
my opinion. I'm not saying it has to be every year, but I think you have to get the cup at least one more time. Sidney Crosby for Evgeny Malkin. There's obviously all 3 of the guys in the member core are Hall of Famers, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Crystal Tang, I think, is one of the most underrated defensemen in NFL history. You know, I mean,
He's frustrating.
You got Paul Coffey numbers offensively.
Yeah.
But you also got a year after year after year of the guy in the Norris talk as the best defenseman in the league. And it's unfair that the man has never won the Norris. He should have at least twice. But I think a lot of the questions for the Pens next season is your first offseason with Ronnie Hextall as GM. What is he going to do? 1. 2, what is he going to do?
Yeah.
I don't think the Pens should sit. There's glaring holes the Pens have to do in the offseason. And I hope they address them. Obviously, goaltending is one of them. I think this is sad, and I hated the contract at the time. I think they have to take. I hope they get CC on a discount.
Yeah.
CC and Matheson have been great. And I was. Now, when I see Patrick Hornquist, probably one of my favorite Penguins of all time, going to Florida, and he fucking thrived in Florida. Good for the man. coming over for Mark Matheson. I'm like, oh fuck, here we go again. It's you know what I mean, Jack Johnson all over again.
Yep.
Matheson was an absolute vacuum, and I won't name my friend who said it in our group chat because I love my friends too much. But someone literally said Matheson should just shoot more. No, you get that man in his on offensive or his defensive zone. The man is literally a vacuum. The man is probably one of the best defensemen on the team right now.
Yeah.
And I hope they keep Cece and I hope they keep Matheson. I think you pair 58 and Dumo. You know what I mean? I don't know what you do. You know what I mean? Obviously, the Pens defense.
John Marino, like.
You mean Marino? Obviously, Pedersen's gone.
Yeah.
Chad Ruhwedel, he disappeared off the face of the earth.
Somebody call
Pierre Oliver Joseph. Like what happened?
POJ.
Like, yeah, like he had like 3 great games, and all of a sudden he's down in Wilkes-Barre again. We never see him again.
Yeah.
Poor guy. Obviously, I think. Yeah, I mean he's there.
Could he be like the next?
No.
Face?
No. Not for a couple years. I don't see the Pens doing a lot per se this offseason.
No. But they can't just sit back and twiddle their thumbs.
Yes, they have to go get a goalie.
Yeah.
I think that, like we talked about many times already, I think they have to go get a veteran. They have to do something to make a splash in that division. I think they're going back to them like the Metro and all that. I think they're doing all that next year again, so I don't think there's going to be no Mass Mutual North edition.
So stupid.
Yeah. I asked on Twitter when Mass Mutual was like a dating service for New Englanders.
Your cousin from Boston.
Wow.
Do we want to talk about the rest of the playoffs, or do we not give two shits?
No, I'm okay talking the rest of the playoffs.
Is there any way that Bane can come back from the dead and blow up the New York-Boston series?
No, I think the winner of that series comes out of the East. Well, the quote-unquote East.
Yeah. We use the word East lightly.
But, you know what? I'm all in on Montreal beating Toronto in Game 7.
What a dumpster fire that's going to be.
I want to see Toronto burn. You mean, Ontario's ripe with COVID right now, but I want to see the Leafs lose in Game 7. So bad.
I want to see that just for like the sheer dumpster fire.
Also, who would have thought the best team in the playoffs so far is the Winnipeg Jets?
Not since like 88, have I seen.
Also, that's what happens when you have the best goaltender in the playoffs currently.
True.
Dude, if you get a series like Colorado and Winnipeg, that's going to be great.
That is going to be great.
See, I don't know how that's going to work on who's going to play who.
Yeah, we talked about that with everybody.
I don't know how. One, I don't care because the Pens are out, and two, I just in it for when my theory is when my favorite team loses in the playoffs, I root for the most absolute chaos. I want Montreal to beat Toronto in Game 7. I hate to say it, I kind of want to see the Islanders and the Bruins beat each other up and the Islanders fucking win. Carolina obviously is a great team. I mean, that Nashville series to me was actually the best hockey so far. You got Winnipeg up in the north, Colorado, Vegas. That's going to be
Colorado, Vegas. That.
Speaking of Vegas, Robin Leonard left ice first today. So if they fucking start Robin Leonard in Game 1 versus Colorado after the series that Math had, it's going to be fucking hilarious because it's going to be, oh my god, Peter DeBoer stabbing Math in the back with a sword again. Like, it's fucking hilarious, and I love every single one, and fuck you, Marc-Andre Fleury.
That's like anymore, like with ever since this series ended, that's all you hear from people. From friends, family, the Pittsburgh media is they should have kept Marc-Andre Fleury. That would have fixed anything.
All these years later.
It never would have fixed anything.
All these years later. All I have to say when anybody brings up Marc-Andre Fleury's name in the city of Pittsburgh, he isn't going to fuck you. Like, it's like a bad boyfriend all over again.
Yeah.
And move on. It's like that scene in Wayne's World. Move on. Get going. Or the end of fucking Ferris Bueller. What are you still doing
here? Yeah.
Leave. Go home.
Yeah, we get it.
He's not coming back.
No.
Move on. Like, this team has so many bright spots that people can't fucking move on from Marc-Andre Fleury. And I know, he smiled and he was a great... Don't get me wrong, Maff is probably the second best goalie the Penguins ever had.
Kenny Riggett, number one?
Okay, third best goalie the Penguins ever had. Kenny Riggett, Tom Barrasso, Marc-Andre Fleury. But it's just with I'm happy for him. Career renaissance. I know he kind of faltered with the Penguins at the end. I mean, Matt Murray comes in and wins 2 cups, but you have to look at it as a business.
Yeah,
business didn't work out for Marc-Andre Fleury and the Penguins.
Yeah,
the man moved on. The man, has done wonderful things in Vegas. But he's third all time?
Mm-hmm.
Fourth all time.
Third or fourth, yeah.
And career wins. Great for him. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. But you have to, as a Penguin fan, look at it as a way that he's never coming back. You have to move on. You have to look towards the future of the team and winning a cup before the end of the era of Crosby, Malkin, and Tang is over. The era of Marc-Andre Fleury is over.
Yeah.
Got to move on. You have to look at it as we need 1 or 2 more cups in the next 4 or 5 years before their contracts are up, before they retire, before they move on. It's like...
Remember the time before Crosby and Malkin and Letang? That's how bad it was. It was terrible.
Am I going to say it's ever going to be that bad again?
No, it's never going to be that bad.
I think there's going to be some rough issues when the core's gone. But I think they have enough young talent now.
Oh, yeah.
I think you keep Jake Gensel around forever. Not forever, but man. You have Brian Rust, he stays, he doesn't go to Seattle. There's a lot to be proud of on this Penguin team. And there's a lot to be proud of this season. Yes, it didn't end the way we wanted it to, but in the end, to me, it was a successful season between COVID and injuries and everything. Speaking of injuries, I want to talk about something real quick after we're done here. There's a lot to be happy about the team. The questions came out, what happened, and we have to answer those in the offseason with the goaltending and protecting players from the expansion draft. But what I wanted to say is, of course, Gino wasn't 100%. He came out and said he wasn't 100% during the playoffs.
Yeah.
Do you think he should have just stayed out?
Yes.
I actually lean that way too. And I hate this whole, oh my God, he's got to be strong and they're in the playoffs. If you're hurt and you're not going to be able to give your team 100%,
don't even risk it.
Don't risk it. You know what I mean? We kind of saw that with Evgeny Malkin. You know what I mean? There's a lot of questions on his line. Actually got worked a lot during game 4, 5, and 6.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to see what's better for the team. I actually think depends, especially on the power play. We're playing significantly better without Evgeny Malkin.
And that's strange to say because of what power.
And that's what Jeff Carter added. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
You had that replacement there. Are there any games today? There's 2 games today.
Yeah.
Game 1 of Tampa in Carolina.
Go Canes.
Go Canes, because fuck the Tampa Bay Lightning and their cap circumvention. And obviously I'm rooting for Colorado. I am a Nate McKinnon, Cal McCurr, Stan. I love...
That team is fun to watch.
Colorado is my team out of the West. I don't even want to say West. I don't even... Whatever sponsorship they have out there.
The Enterprise Car Rental West Division or whatever it is.
Actually, I think that's what it is, which is sad. But Colorado is my team out West. That actually goes back to kind of the old kiddies days when the 96 Stanley Cup champion poster up in your room.
And
I could name every person on that team from fucking Adam Foote to Patrick Waugh.
I can still tell you, Stephon Yell scored the game-winning goal, 96 Stanley Cup final against the Florida Panthers, beating John Van Beesbrook.
So, I don't know how much more you want to talk about this and how much more anything you want to touch about, but what are your projections for the Pens next season? Of course, we'll talk about this. You mean as training camp moves on? But what do you see the Pens? Where do you see the Pens next season? And I'm going to preface this as they're back in the Metro.
They're back in the Metro. Second place in the Metro.
Behind?
Oh, I hate to fucking say this. The fucking Boston Bruins.
The Bruins won't be in the Metro.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's right. I'm so used to seeing the Bruins.
Go back to the Metro. So you go Washington, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, New York, New Jersey, New York.
They're going to be second behind Washington in the Metro.
They're second behind Washington. Actually, I think they're better than Washington. Actually, thinking about it, of course, there's a lot of questions being raised, but if the team that lost to the Islanders is next season, is the team that the Caps that lost to Boston, I'm putting the Pens way above them. Actually, I think there's going to be a lot of change in the NHL. Obviously, adding another team out west is going to be huge. I'm a lifelong Seattle Kraken fan. Love me some Ronnie Francis.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
But I think the play of... how do I say the play? No. The game of hockey, to me, it's a young boys game now.
Mm-hmm.
McDavid, McKinnon, Draisaitl, that first line for Edmonton, because that's all they have. Guys like Cole Caulfield,
Austin Matthews.
I think the Pens are on the downslope of the Crosby-Malkin era, but I still think they can compete and still think they can win a cup. I think next year, the first probably 30 games are make or break for Mike Sullivan.
Yeah.
I think by the end of October... No, give me Thanksgiving before they make a change if things don't go right. But if they get to Thanksgiving and things aren't right, you have to look elsewhere. And I think everybody sees the writing on the wall there.
You have to at this point. It's ridiculous if you don't.
Also, I have no fucking clue what Ronnie Hextall is going to do as GM. I don't know what Brian Burke's going to do as the director of player personnel or whatever the title he is.
That's a weird ass.
What Hextall said is he's not a GM that goes up to a player and talks. That's what they hired Burke for.
God.
He's not you saw this in Philadelphia too.
Yeah.
He's not one of those guys that becomes the best buds of the players.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of like Oppo Jim Rutherford.
Complete 180-degree change there.
No, and I have my dislike for Jim Rutherford. I love the man for building a 2-cup back-to-back Stanley Cup winning team.
Yeah.
The dude kind of backed out at the worst fucking time. And I'll never forget him for it. But the dude Matheson and Ceci were great additions.
Yeah.
Hextall comes in, adds Jeff Carter. Great addition. But next season, I think it's going to be more addition by subtraction.
Yeah, I agree.
You're going to have holes that you're going to have to fill. Where do they fill them from? Giggity. But other than that, I mean, I got my feelings out. Fuck you, Tristan Jarry. You know what I mean? Come next season, if you're between the pipes, I'll cheer for you. But just give me a few months to air out my Festivus grievances.
We'll probably be back here again doing the same thing.
We'll be back here again in August, talking about the same thing as soon as the training camp starts up. But again, we'd like to thank everybody for listening. If you're listening out there, I'm Morgan.
I'm Jeremy.
We are Porchesses. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Talk to you later.